Hey, everybody. Welcome to Week 15, Waiver Hits. First week of the fantasy playoffs. I am excited and nervous. How you doing, Tony?
Good. How
Keeping
you
it
doing?
together over there?
What's that?
Keeping it together over there?
Yeah, man. Barely. I'm keeping it together. I'm doing good.
That's good. We were, me and Corey were talking on BoomBust. It's like we had some where we got in comfortably, and we had some where we just barely eked in there. And those are the ones we're a little bit more nervous about. But
That's
either way, it's exciting. Season went way too fast, and here we are in the playoffs.
it's hard to believe. Yeah, it really is kind of hard to believe that it's already passed us by. Totally agree.
Well, because the off season just drags on and on and on and on, and then it's football season. It's over, and now we got to wait again. But
Totally agree.
so we deal with that on a yearly basis. It's unfortunate. However, this week, first week of the fantasy playoffs, let's try to get everybody some waiver pickups they can use in a pinch. Hopefully, you're not relying on a lot of these guys if you're in the playoffs, but stuff happens, injuries happen. Apparently, COVID is now happening. I think like half the Rams and half the Browns are now on the COVID list.
Hmm.
It's kind of wild out there. So you might actually need some of these guys. So, Tony, let's jump right in here. I guess we'll just go position by position if you want.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I do want to add real quick, just kind of on that note, that this time of the year, now that you're in the playoffs, it really is like a whole new season. So
Mhm.
it's not just about who's available on waivers and who you might pick up to help your roster. It's also about guys that you're avoiding, people that you're maybe even cutting. And then you're looking at your opponent, and sometimes waivers are about blocking other teams
Yep.
from getting someone that they might be able to use against you. So, when you're kind of assessing what to do with your roster in waivers, those are the things really I think that you have to take into consideration. It's not earlier in the season, it's really which players are going to help me on my roster. Now
Yeah.
it's who can help me, but also who might be able to kind of be more defensive move.
I completely agree. I tend to do that quite a bit. Something else that's different about playoffs versus the regular season is usually during the regular season, you don't put a whole lot of thought into who you're playing on defense. You'll grab someone with a good matchup, stick them in there, whatever. But as further proven by the chat we had tonight on Boom Bust, we had a ton of defensive questions.
Yeah.
Now is the time of year. It's not a terrible move to maybe roster a pair of defenses that have complementary schedules where you can kind of play
100%.
those matchups and stuff. Where, like you say, typically you're not rostering two defenses, but now is a good time. Also, if there's any like top type handcuffs, people, it's if someone gets hurt that will make good starters. Those are the kind of guys you want to carry. Whereas you're starting guys that are already getting touches, you're rostering those guys during the season. So a little bit
No.
different strategies and stuff in the playoffs for sure. You have to focus on the current week more than anything.
So I would totally agree with that. Absolutely, you're looking at that. I wouldn't like to also nuance it in that it's also valuable to do that at almost every position. So, for example, quarterback. You look at your quarterback schedule, look at quarterbacks that might be available on waivers, who you have on your bench, and make sure that it's a good complementary schedule.
Yep.
I used to be of the mindset when I first started playing fantasy, kind of like, okay, my studs got me here into the playoffs. I've got these guys, and I'm going to ride them. I'm not going to bench them now. And you can't really have that type of a mindset. You have to almost hit the reset button and say, okay, who now gives me the best chance to win? I'm not going to go down with my stud if my stud has not been playing and is kind of trending in the wrong direction. So you've got to really be a little bit bold sometimes and be willing to make decisions that that kind of get you to the next week. It's always about surviving and getting to that next week.
Right. And it's like Corey likes to say, scared money don't make money. So if you
Well, let's keep it in football, and like Bruce Arians of the Bucs says, no risk it, no biscuit.
Exactly. That's exactly right. A good example, like you're talking about at every position, is at quarterback, because we're going to start with quarterbacks, but like Josh Allen,
Yeah.
right? During the season, you're starting Josh Allen every week. He's active. He's your guy. In the playoffs, okay, you're playing this week against Carolina. Maybe look at a quarterback off of waivers that you can play instead of him next week against New England and roster him. So that's going to be a good. Sushi Lover's already hit one here in the chat. Jimmy Garoppolo's one I've been pushing. He has a really good matchup next week.
Definitely.
Tua, I believe, also has a very, very good matchup.
Those are the two guys. Those are the two guys. It are Tua and Jimmy G.
Those are my
Jimmy
top
G,
two quarterback, guys this week for waivers.
Yeah, and Jimmy G, we talked about it. I mean, let's just kind of jump right into it. Jimmy G, we talked about it a little bit last night on Panic Room. I prefer Jimmy G just because I think he has more weapons available. That's more explosive offense with Kittle. We'll see what happens with Elijah Mitchell going into the week. Deebo Samuel coming back, Brandon Ayuk. I like that offense better. And it's just Atlanta is a top 5 matchup for quarterbacks, meaning one of the top 5 easiest opponents. They give up top 5 points, fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks over the course of the season. So I would lean Jimmy G.
But he also plays Tennessee next week. Like if you do have Allen, if you just look at Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston, that is an amazing playoff schedule.
Yeah, I agree.
For Garoppolo. But even if you miss out on him or he's not available, Tua has the Jets, the Saints, and then Tennessee. So he also has a very, very good, like you say, he's not quite the same weapons, but it's still a very, very good schedule there. So either one of those guys, if you need to pair him with Allen or somebody else who has a tough matchup in the playoffs that you've been starting all year, those are definitely going to be your top 2 waiver QBs this week. I know another popular one I've seen is Big Ben. His playoff schedule, he plays Tennessee this week and then Kansas City, Cleveland. I don't feel as comfortable with Big Ben, though, as the other two.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I would probably shy away from Ben, although it's a good matchup with Tennessee. I think you could put him third, if you're looking at him as a waiver wire pickup.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer this other question before we move on to some of the other waivers real quick? This Fraggy. Hey, Fraggy.
Sure. Hey, Fraggy. How you doing, man? I'm glad you said that. I was fixing to roll on down here. Pick 2 for my super flex, Hurts, Herbert, Cousins. Let's answer that, and then we'll move on to the next part of the question.
Sure.
Let's see. I can't remember now who Hurts plays, which is sad.
Well, yeah, no, Herbert has Kansas City.
Herbert has Kansas City. Cousins has Chicago.
Herbert's at the top of the list.
Hurts plays.
So if he has to pick,
I like
says
Herbert
pick 2.
Cousins.
Yeah, I would say Herbert and Cousins too, unless Hurts is able to log full practice. It could be a great matchup for him at home against Washington. But Herbert is a no-brainer. And then I kind of just keep an eye on the injury report. But I don't disagree with you on the Cousins. The problem is it's at Chicago. I don't know what the weather looks like for the weekend. So if Hurts is healthy with that ankle, I probably lean Hurts. I could probably give him the edge.
But even if Hurts is healthy, do you think he's on a shorter leash now with Minshew having that good game at all? Or do you think that's just –
I don't think Minshew is – I don't think there's any talk of him being the starter this week. I think if Hurts is healthy, he starts. But you got to make sure he's healthy.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you might – as I'm kind of talking through it, you might actually lean Cousins just for the fact that he is healthy, and you don't run the risk of putting somebody in your super flex who is a bit risky due to that ankle.
Here's the nice thing.
Yeah.
Hurts plays Sunday, Cousins plays Monday. So if you want to, I like Hurts also if he's healthy, but if he's not healthy, you'll still be able to swap Cousins out for him. So there's no risk there as far as missing out on Cousins to start Hurts.
Right. I agree with all that.
So, and then at receivers, he has Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks, Lockett, Myers, and Renfro. Pick 2, maybe 3. I think Evans and Renfro are auto. And then I don't hate Cooks against Jacksonville.
They're all very close.
They are. I think Myers is my auto scratch out.
Yeah, Myers should not be in the conversation. So I agree
Between
with you.
Cooks
I
and
think
Lockett for that third one, but I think Evans and Renfro are your automatic starters out of the group.
Well, I think Renfro for me at this point is a league winner. With the type of volume and with the type of production he's been giving you. My only concern with Renfro is you've got to watch the report for Waller. Waller right now is questionable. He has an outside chance of suiting up this weekend. If Waller suits up, that does change the valuation for Renfro going into the game. Um, if Waller is out, Renfro is a no-brainer. He's at the top of the list. And then you're looking, I think, between Evans and Lockett. Cooks had nice target share this last week. He's got a nice schedule. But I think Evans and Lockett have just been, they've just been on fire lately. And so I would probably lean more towards one of those, probably Mike Evans, especially with that matchup.
Yeah, I like Evans in that matchup a lot more. All right, so let's see. He says he has a trade alert. Barkley and A-Rob versus Carter and Elijah Moore Dynasty.
Wow. That's a pretty significant trade.
Yeah, it is.
Which side of that trade are you on?
I'd have a hard time getting rid of Barkley in a dynasty, but I love Elijah Moore in a dynasty. I like Michael Carter in a dynasty, but Elijah Moore is huge to me.
Yeah. I'm not sold on Michael Carter, but I'm not denying he has value. I recently actually worked a trade with Kyle in a dynasty league for Michael Carter. So I get the interest in him. I think my biggest concern with that deal is you're getting a stack at the Jets, and I'm not so crazy about that Jets offense. You're getting Carter and Elijah Moore. So you've got to really be in love with both of those guys. I agree with you. I think Elijah Moore is a top dynasty wide receiver at this point. Easily the most talented receiver in that offense. But losing Barkley stings.
That does hurt. That hurts a lot.
So you got to be really convinced that these guys are going to help you. And I don't know what your receiver room looks like on your roster. So if you need help there and you want a good dynasty receiver, then Elijah Moore. And just by the looks of the trade, maybe you're a Jets fan. So that's the case. Look, it's partly winning and it's partly having fun. And if you like these guys, Jets,
that
then make the move.
Plays a role. It does play a role.
100%. It has to.
We
do it for fun.
Well. Yeah, it plays a role for me, definitely. And then, of course, Sushi Lovers all over Money Man Lockett again.
He loves Lockett.
He hit a comment about Money Man right as we were logging off of BoomBust earlier, so he had to come over here and get it back in there.
He's not a Jets fan. Okay.
Not a Jets fan. Okay.
Well, you're gonna have to be a Jets fan because you'll be rooting for the Jets every week.
That is
here's one good thing I will tell you, Fraggy, is fortunately their defense is horrendous. So that kind of keeps Moore very active in those game scripts. And Michael Carter is not a bad guy to have at the running back position. I do I do like him over A-Rob in Jacksonville, especially next year, not knowing exactly what we're going to get, once we get, what's his name, back healthy.
No, it's Allen Robinson, not James Robinson.
I'm thinking of A-Rob. You're right. Yes, he's A-Rob. Yeah, I would do that. I thought he was losing.
That's why I like Moore so much. I like him over A-Rob for sure.
I would do that.
Barkley stings, but
I would do that.
It's funny because he says he wanted 2 young guys for 2 trash cans.
Yeah, I would do that.
I like Barkley, but he has hurt a lot.
It's so funny how I saw J-Rob.
Terrible offense. So, yeah, I love getting Elijah Moore and Carter there.
It's funny, I saw that, and for some reason I saw Barkley, and I was just thinking running back, so I saw J-Rob. I always tell my wife, and this is good to know about me, or at least somewhat insightful, is that I always tell her I would make the world's worst detective. I would have sworn that it was Barkley and J-Rob. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you clarified that.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's still like you say, it stings to give up Barkley, but
But
I do think that's a wise trade there. You're kind in a way you're just kind of cashing in on Barkley.
yeah, he's had a very difficult time staying healthy, so it's not a bad idea to move him now.
Yeah.
So let's go back into the waiver. So we covered quarterbacks. You want to jump into the running backs?
Well, hold on. He says last one. So we'll
Okay.
hit this one, then we'll do that. Najee Harris, Fournette, Connor, and Montgomery pick 2 and flex. He also has Renfro or Gronk. His tight end is Kittle. So I guess he needs 2 running backs and a flex. So Fournette, you're starting, obviously. Harris, let's see. Harris plays Tennessee. That's a terrible matchup. Connor gets Detroit. Montgomery against
I read
Minnesota.
something though about Connor. Does he have? Is there a chance they're going to shut him down for the season? Was there? I know he sustained an injury in the last play of that game.
I saw he hurt his ankle. He's getting an MRI.
Yeah.
If he plays and Edmonds is not activated, I like him against Detroit. But the way it's going right
100%.
now, it's looking like Montgomery and Fournette are going to be your 2 running back plays there. I don't like Harris against Tennessee. But for a flex, I do like Gronk, Renfro with no Waller. If Waller doesn't play, you got to go Renfro in your flex.
Yep.
If Waller plays, it's between Gronk and Harris, and honestly, I think I'd rather have Gronk than Harris against that Tennessee rushing defense.
I would agree with everything you said. I think I'm having a difficult time benching Najee Harris. I agree that if Connor is healthy and Chase Edmonds is not back for that game, you got to start Connor. He is now the identity of that offense. Used to be D-Hop, it's now Connor, at least for right now. So, and there's just no way you can sit Fournette, even though they're going up against that New Orleans defense.
Yeah,
you saw what he did to Buffalo.
Yeah, he's a monster. You can't sit him.
You just cannot sit Fournette. He's involved in every aspect of that offense, running the football, catching the football. He gets the goal line touches.
He has become Derrick Henry light.
He's become Derrick Henry with kind of the receiving element, even though Derrick Henry was starting to get involved a little bit more in that receiving game this year. But Fournette is a monster right now. So, if Waller is out, you have to have Fournette and Renfro in your lineups. If Chase Edmonds is going to miss and Connor is healthy, Connor has to be in your lineup.
Yeah, and Fraggy, we said, if he doesn't play, you got to go Montgomery as your other guy.
I'm on the fence there. I think Fournette is at the top of the list, but I'm going to have a very difficult time sitting Najee.
I am too, but I do think Montgomery has a better matchup, and I think he'll do better. That's just me.
I don't disagree with you. So it is a better matchup, and he is involved on both sides of that offense, passing and running. So I would probably lean Montgomery as well. It's just it's very difficult for me to envision benching Najee Harris.
I mean, maybe if Waller's back, you start Najee in your flex instead of Gronk. Maybe that's how you get around that feeling. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing with that is you're riding Fournette and Gronk.
Yeah. You gotta ride that Tampa Bay offense for sure.
Yeah.
Me and Corey were talking about this earlier. Tampa Bay, they lost to New Orleans last time they played, when they played in New Orleans. And I think Brady really comes out with a vengeance this week. I think that whole team does. And I think they're going to murder New Orleans in Tampa Bay. So, yeah, I definitely Definitely think you want Gronk and Fournette in there, but it's also hard not to start Gronk. If Waller's not back, you got to play Renfro. I mean, there's just no way you can't play Renfro. So, you got some tough decisions there. Hopefully, that's clear as mud.
Here's the thing, though, Fraggy, is you are really in a tremendous position. Kudos to you for acquiring these guys and have them available on your roster. To have this type of a roster going into the fantasy playoffs, it gives you options. And that's a very, very good thing to have this time of year. So you're going to be – I wouldn't want to go up against you if I were in your league. I can tell you that much.
He says he's nervous with Evans, Godwin, and Fournette. So you have all three on the same team?
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me a little bit nervous.
That would make me a little nervous. I would probably play Renfro over Evans just to kind of diversify there a little bit.
I didn't know you had Godwin as well. Was Godwin in I didn't see Godwin at any point in his breakdown.
No, he asked for running backs and a flex. I guess Evans and Godwin were receivers, and so he didn't ask.
Yeah, Evans, Cooks, TJ Lockett, Jacoby Myers, Renfro. Never mentioned Godwin. So, I didn't know you had Godwin. That does change it a little bit. I think you're good with Fournette and Godwin.
Oh, he doesn't have him. He says he's nervous about
he's nervous with
volume or touches.
Yeah, if you've listened to us, I don't know if this is your first time tuning in, but if you've listened to us, I've talked quite a bit about Evans. Evans is very much a boomer bust type receiver. Evans could go off this weekend against New Orleans, 4 catches for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns, or he could go 2 for 16. And if you watch the game just this last weekend, just on Sunday against the Bills, he was not very involved with that offense until he had that touchdown catch. So he is somewhat touchdown dependent because he's not a volume receiver. And I am nervous about Evans. So, because going into the playoffs, you don't want a guy who could post 2 catches for 16 yards. And Evans is that type of guy.
Now he says Evans, Higgins, or Lockett.
We keep getting different guys.
Are we in a different league now? He says he can't start Pittman, so who's my second behind Debo?
I still think you have to go Evans.
You still have to go Evans there, yeah. But
unless I still think you have to go Evans.
I mean, Higgins has been on a roll, but
they're at Denver this weekend.
At Denver is tough. Of course, Sushi Lover says Lockett. He's going to say Lockett until he flops and then be like, "Ooh, finally."
It's hard to bench Higgins right now.
Fraggy, he says he has 3 leagues. He's mixing leagues on us here.
That's okay. No problem, Fraggy. We're smart. We can follow. We got you.
I don't know. A-Rob was J-Rob, so I don't know if we can follow.
Yeah. That's funny.
I'm still going Evans out of these 3, though. Not Lockett, Sushi. All right, let's cover some more waiver guys.
Yeah, jump back into waivers. Let's kind of tackle the running backs real quick. There really aren't many options out there. I think the one guy that, the obvious claim is Rashad Penny.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it looks like he wants to give him the chance to be the lead running back over the rest of the season. Hopefully he can stay healthy and try to do it.
That's the issue.
He looked really, really good this week, but he has traditionally had a very hard time to staying healthy. He plays like 1 or 2 games a year since he's been drafted.
Yeah, this to me, I would never have Rashad Penny in my starting lineup for the fantasy playoffs.
This is one of those defensive moves, though, that we mentioned because in a league I'm in Jason's league, I spent the rest of my fab money last night. Waivers runs a night early in that league. It's weird. But I spent the rest of my fab money to get him so nobody else could have him and start him in the playoffs. And I'll never play him. But
you don't want anybody else to use it.
I don't want anybody else to do it either. And then he all goes crazy against me or something, So, but if you're in a dire, injury situation with running backs, I could understand it, and he is your top running back pick for sure.
Yeah.
There's a handful of handcuffs out there that might be okay to roster in case their starter goes down. If you're just looking to stock up on somebody, the only other guy I want to mention though that would be my number 2 is Malcolm Brown for the Dolphins.
Interesting. Okay.
Because the rest of their running backs are on the COVID list right now. I'm sure at least one of them will end up testing out of it, but maybe not. Might be worth a speculative ad just to keep an eye on. I think I forgot who they play the Jets. So if they don't come off the COVID list, Malcolm Brown is in a great situation right there against the Jets if you're in really, really bad injury situations of running back and need one to start.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I've seen where they talked about the running back from Detroit as a potential waiver ad, but
yeah,
I'm kind of staying away from that situation. I'm not trusting him.
Well, because there's kind of a pair of them up there.
Craig Reynolds. Amir Abdullah, he was involved in the passing game this week in Carolina, but these are guys really that I just don't think you can trust. So
even Malcolm Brown is a little iffy because they did bring up Duke Johnson, but I think Brown will be the guy they default there to.
Sure.
If those guys are all still on the COVID list. That's
pretty much the receiver position. I think the one guy there, I'm going to kind of get your opinion on him too, is Gabriel Davis.
Yeah.
Filling in now. We know we're going to get him at least for this week with Emmanuel Sanders, who's looking like he is going to miss. What are your thoughts on Gabriel Davis?
Yeah, I think with no Emmanuel Sanders, I think he is going to fill in, and I think he would be a pretty good play against Carolina. Like you said, it's hard to trust a lot of these guys in your playoffs, right? But depending on your situation, I could see you playing him this week, and I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to be a better receiver than Emmanuel Sanders. Anyways, he's bigger. I think he's just a better player overall. Obviously, he's young though. But for this week, I do like him against Carolina. You can't play him next week against New England. You can't play anybody against New England next week.
No, I totally
agree. That offense. But I like him this week if you're in a pinch.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything that you said there. I think he's kind of, he's a flex starter. He's not going to break your starting rotation at the receiver position. And the only other guy that's on the board or in waivers is Amon-Ra St. Brown with Detroit. But I have a very, very difficult time trusting him.
Yeah,
as a waiver wire claim.
Don't trust that offense. You hate to chase a couple. Like he had one big game and then one pretty good game, and I just not really trusting that. There's a couple other guys I want to just briefly mention that are available.
Go ahead.
I guess they're pretty highly available. Devonte Parker is still pretty highly available, I think, across leagues, which probably shouldn't be. And then KJ Osborne. He looked really, really good this week with Adam Thielen out.
Mm-hmm.
As long as Adam Thielen is out, I think he'll continue to play pretty well. Probably out of all of these guys, he's probably the one I would trust the most in my lineup if I could get my hands on him.
Sure.
And Devonte Parker, of course, he's good when he's healthy, but who knows if that can hold true through a whole game or not. So
I hear you.
Anybody at tight end that you're liking?
I think it's just really slim pickings. There isn't a whole lot kind of going on out there at the tight end position.
I was all about Hooper until he went on the COVID list.
But Hooper was simply because he was the only healthy tight end.
And now he's not. So
yeah. and now he's not. So, that's
News
certainly
came out
hurt.
after I made the post for this show and everything. So he was on my graphic, and
Right,
then like an hour later, he went on the COVID list. I'm like, are you serious?
right.
So I don't see anything at tight end that really jumps out at me.
No, I don't either. Nothing. I don't mean nobody really worth kind of mentioning or talking about. So,
Right.
um, I'm definitely kind of looking past the waiver wire when it comes to finding a starting tight end.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's look at defenses just briefly before we hop back over here to the chat.
Sure.
Um, with the news of Cleveland and all these players on the COVID list, I think the Raiders become a very, very good streaming option this week. I mean, their whole offense, other than Baker, is on the COVID list and Chubb. But if you don't have to worry about pass catchers, you could shut Chubb down, right? So
Sure.
I think they're a pretty good option. I also really like Miami this week if you can get your hands on them. And Dallas against the Giants, I like this week a lot. And I think they're still pretty available. I think people are still having a hard time trusting a Dallas Cowboys defense.
Right. No, I agree. I think, the Dolphins are probably the one at the top of the list. Forget about just streaming defense. The Dolphins might be the top play this week at the DST slot. So if you can grab them off of waivers, then certainly that's a defense you're going to want to have. Um,
They also have a great remaining playoff schedule with New Orleans and Tennessee after the Jets.
right.
I think they got pretty good matchups there that you can exploit. Um, so
Yeah, another a defense that you can pair them up with, and I've seen widely available on waivers are the Saints. You're not going to play the Saints this week at Tampa Bay, but they do have Miami next week, and then the Carolina week 17 and Atlanta week 18. So, there's some potential with that Saints defense as well. At least you can get a viable starter if you need someone to stream over the next few weeks.
yep, absolutely. All righty. Let's jump back over here to the chat. I know we had a few come in after we went back. Let's see.
Which Hunter said, "Hey Hunter, which running back should I pick up?" I think we talked about running backs. Rashad Penny really is the only guy out there I think that you can make a case for,
Yeah,
but more of a defensive pickup because has a very, very sketchy track record, has not been able to stay healthy, and he's one handoff away from getting knocked out of a football game. I just would not trust him in my starting rotation, my starting lineup for the fantasy playoffs. This is a perfect guy, by the way, if it were early in the season, who's a sell high.
yeah,
I just don't want any part of him for the fantasy playoffs. But if you can block someone from getting him and might be able to use him against you, certainly I would consider doing that.
yeah. Okay.
And Hunter, by the way, if you have any running backs out there that you want to throw them out there, and certainly we can give you feedback on them.
Yeah, for sure. So Fraggy has another trade alert. Trade Cousins right now for Cooks and a third. He needs a QB for Superflex playoff. I could use Cooks versus Jacksonville. Listen, if I'm in the playoffs against someone, I mean, you might not be playing them this week, but I'm certainly not trading anybody a QB in the playoffs that can help them win the playoffs. I would keep Cousins right there just so he loses and knocks somebody out of the playoffs.
I'm confused here though. This is a super flex league? Is this
Uh-huh.
a dynasty league? Is this his dynasty league?
I don't know if it's dynasty or not. It doesn't say, but
If it's a dynasty league, I would not do that. I would not lose a quarterback like Cousins in a dynasty league.
yeah. Even if it's not, I wouldn't be trading a quarterback to anybody in the playoffs of a super flex right now. He says it's redraft.
Oh, redraft. Okay. Well, that does definitely change the valuation quite a bit. You seem to be pretty stacked. I mean, who are you going to be playing Cooks? Who are your options at receiver?
Because he had Herbert, Hurts, and Cousins were his QVs. So he'd still have Herbert and Hurts. Let's see. He's got Waddle, Evans, and he had Renfro. You don't need Cooks that bad. If it's that same league, I'm operating under the assumption that's all the same league. He has Trevor Lawrence. Like, you eliminate that team from the playoffs. You don't need Cooks that bad. It doesn't look like, judging from your receiving room. If it's the same league with Evans and Renfro and who did I just say?
Devonta Smith. Oh,
this is a different league then. So he's got Devonte, Thielen, Thomas, Brown, Gage, and Robbie Anderson. Ugh. You've had some injuries and some issues there, my guy.
That is a bit of a game changer for me.
Yeah, I thought it was this other league where you had these other receivers.
Get Cooks.
Yeah, get Cooks.
Get Cooks.
I thought it was this other league where you had all these receivers. I'm like, you don't need Cooks. Yeah, you need Cooks there. For sure.
And let me just, with Davis Mills this past week, Brandon Cooks had a 24% target share, 27% of the air yards in that offense. He had 89% of routes run. These are very solid wide receiver one numbers. So the volume is there for Brandon Cooks. And we saw him come out of that game with, I believe he had 11 targets. So the volume is there. He had 8 receptions, 101 yards. This is a great matchup for him against Jacksonville. Davis definitely looks his way quite a bit. So, yeah, get Brandon Cooks in your lineup. You need him at the receiver position.
Yeah.
He would instantly become your top receiver. I think you're starting him. You got to make a very strong case for me to not start Russell Gage because he's also getting elite volume in that Atlanta offense. I don't trust Robbie Anderson. A.J. Brown, you can't use. Devonta Smith doesn't excite me. And Adam Thielen's hurt, so.
Yeah. Sushi still says KJ's like Van Jefferson. He played better than Van Jefferson this week. I'm not going to lie, but I still prefer Van Jefferson.
Yeah,
but I do think KJ looks really, really good. I think he's going to have a really good future when Thielen decides to either switch teams or retire down the road.
Yeah, Van Jefferson took a little bit of a step back this week.
He struggled for real this week.
KJR Osborne has kind of exploded in this Minnesota offense with his routes run and target share. Target share just about 30%, which is even stronger than the target share we just talked about for Brandon Cooks. Yeah. Justin Jefferson, I don't know if you saw his target share for this game, but almost 50%. He had almost half of the targets in that offense. So Justin Jefferson is kind of putting up some historic percentage here in target numbers. But you got to I like KJ Osborne quite a bit without Thielen.
Yeah. Smokey the Cat. Haven't seen you in a little bit, man. It's good to have you back. All right, guys, on the waiver wire, we have Antonio Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Singletary, or Deonte Johnson. Who to pick up? I have 3 roster spots as I picked up Parker and Penny. He's on bye this week. Out of those guys, I guess you got to go St. Brown. Antonio Brown looks pretty finished in Tampa Bay. Talking about they don't even know if they'll end up cutting him or what now. It's weird. That dude can't stay out of trouble. I'm not real excited about any of those guys, though.
Yeah, so I think if you have 3 roster spots, Smokey the Cat, the one guy who jumps out at me that I would make a must add in that list is Deonte Johnson. And the reason why is Kareem Hunt looks like he's going to miss the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And if anything happens to Chubb goes on the COVID list. If Chubb gets hurt this weekend, gets banged up, Deonte Johnson is an instant RB1 for you in your roster. That guy could be a lottery ticket. And so what you're looking at when you're looking at guys the way you are, having 3 available roster spots is, who are some of those lottery ticket guys? Singletary is never going to be that guy. Antonio Brown is – they're talking about shutting him down.
Yeah.
You know,
They're talking
they
about
haven't
cutting
even,
him. Like, they're
yeah,
talking
they
about
haven't even decided what they're going to do with him.
taking him
So,
off the team. Like,
you know,
it's
scratch him off your list. D'Ernest and St. Brown are the two guys I would probably grab, but D'Ernest for me is just clearly the top pickup out of those players because he, like I said, he is a walking lottery ticket, and he might have some actual value even with Chubb healthy because he's going to fill more of that Kareem Hunt role.
yeah, especially now they know he's probably not going to come back at all. But I agree with you, man. If Chubb gets hurt, that's you're going to look like a genius having picked him up.
100%.
Let's see. Fraggy, pick 2. Monty, CEH, Javonte, Patterson, Harris.
Well,
it's got to be Monty and Patterson, I think, for me.
yeah, I think if we're ranking them, Patterson is at the top of the list.
Patterson's number 1.
Patterson is a must start.
And then the rest of the order looks pretty right. I think I go Patterson, Monty, CEH, Williams, Harris.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think that Javonte Williams, I probably have over CEH. I like CEH, but CEH to me is more kind of like a RB2, low end RB2, high end RB3. He did produce Sunday, but it was mostly due to the 2 touchdowns he scored. He is going to get volume in that offense, but but I think I kind of might give the edge to Javonte Williams, even with Melvin Gordon. But I think Monty's the guy. Calvin, Patterson, and Monty.
Yeah, those would be my top.
Sushi Lover says it's Chubb time.
Chubb time.
It's Chubb Lockett time.
Chubb and Lockett, all day, every day, do I flex Patterson, Jacobs, or Mitchell?
Patterson.
Yeah, Patterson for sure.
Yeah, Patterson is a must start.
Absolutely.
Look, the guy is going to be, a top 7 option rest of the season. I don't know, you're gonna have a hard time finding anybody that you can start over him. Maybe the Dalvin Cooks, Jonathan Taylors, the Austin Eckler's, Leonard Fournette's, those type guys. But Patterson, like I'm starting Patterson over Chubb. I'm starting Patterson over Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones and, all those running backs.
Yeah.
The nice thing with Patterson too is, and I don't know about your league, but if he's dual eligible, you can kind of pick where you want to put him, either in your running back or in your receiver spot.
Yeah. Patterson is proven to be matchup proof with a very high floor.
Yeah.
You literally cannot bench that. Let's see. Pick 2 to start, full PPR. Pittman, he's out automatically. Waddle, Renfro, Lockett, Godwin, Deonte Johnson. Wow, too bad of that, bro.
Well, let me do this. Can we do this? Because you've already eliminated Pittman.
Yeah.
And I know Sushi Lover is all over Lockett, and I'm not down on Lockett. But historically,
out of this group, though,
Lockett is the epitome of a boomer bust receiver. He historically has one good game and then 3 or 4 down games. So his production typically over the past 3 or 4 seasons has come from 2 or 3 games each season. I just don't trust him in my lineup for the fantasy playoffs. So I'm going to scratch him off the list. Then you're looking at, I think Waddle, Godwin, Deonte Johnson, and Renfro. And if Waller is out, I think you have to start Renfro. Deonte,
if he's starting 2, though, like even with Waller out, Godwin and Deonte Johnson are absolute target monsters in those offenses every week. I love Waddle, too. And he's playing the Jets. But, you're talking between 10 and 15 targets for Johnson and Godwin on a weekly basis. You got to start that in the playoffs. That's as safe as it gets.
Well, I think Deonte Johnson is in an elite tier right now. So especially in this matchup against Tennessee. So Deonte Johnson to me is a number one guy. You're starting him no matter what.
Yeah.
I like Renfro over Godwin if Waller is out. So if not, then Godwin. If Waller plays, then I like Godwin.
I like Godwin regardless.
And I put Waddle as a very, very close, very close third.
Yeah, I got Johnson Godwin regardless of what Waller does. So glad we didn't help you at all.
No, look.
This is when we need a third person to break the tie. Sushi Lover's not helping because he's on Lockett. So that we got 3 different number 2s there behind Deonte Johnson. I'm going to play this one out of context because he said it about when you were talking about Patterson, but it kind of looks like he said it when you were talking about Lockett. So I'm going to put it up here as if it's for Lockett just to mess with Sushi Lover because I love Sushi Lover. All right. Smokey the Cat. What D to stash for week 16? Your top 3.
What is the question?
Who are your top 3 defenses that he can stash for week 16? So next week. I guess he has a bye this week. Wants to know
we talked.
We could stack. We've talked about Miami has New Orleans that week. That's a pretty good matchup.
We talked about the Saints against Miami.
Yeah, there's let's see.
It's kind of nutty to think that you might consider playing the Jaguars, but any defense going up against the Jets, you have to consider.
That's very true.
But week 16, it'd be helpful if you could give us a couple of defenses that are on your waivers, and I can give you, I can tell you which ones of those I would stash, but it's hard without knowing which defenses you're looking at to tell you which ones of those to stash.
I think that's why he was wanting a top 3 is so he could kind of see.
Well, so here's what you're doing.
What was available.
Who posted? Smokey, here's what you're doing. You're looking at matchups. That's all you're looking at. You're looking at because any week, any of these defenses give you the potential to score. So I'll give you 3. That's the Jaguars who are playing the Jets who are playing the Jaguars, and Detroit who's playing Atlanta. Those are 3 of the top matchups, and all of those defenses are probably going to be available on your waiver wire.
But also Seattle against Chicago, Miami against New Orleans, like say San Fran against Tennessee, Tampa Bay against Carolina. Of course, you're not going to be able to get a hold of them.
Miami against New Orleans is not a good matchup, though. I'm talking about which defenses kind of give you a top 5.
According to this, they are.
Excuse me?
According to this, they are.
According to what are you looking at?
Same thing you look at.
I'm not looking at that.
But Dallas against Washington again isn't horrible either. But I do agree, like there's several that are non-traditional starting defenses that have great matchups that week.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a hard time finding a good one.
I want any defense that's going against Jacksonville or the Jets.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So
Jacksonville
they're playing each other that week. So pick one.
Yeah, pick which one you want.
Actually, if you can get the space, pick them both up so nobody else can grab one. Smokey the Cat. I just like saying cat twice. I don't know why.
2 to start.
Week 16. You were way ahead of the game on your bye week, my guy.
Deonte and Jefferson.
Yeah, I assume that's Justin. But I guess it could be Dan. If it's Justin, for sure, with Jefferson. But
yeah, Deonte, Pittsburgh's playing Kansas City. That could be, that game could be a shootout. Pittsburgh's going to have to throw the football. So Deonte's these guys are just you can't bench.
Yeah.
Jefferson you can't bench, and Deonte Johnson you can't bench.
Deonte you can't bench. If that's Justin Jefferson, you can't bench him. If it's Van Jefferson, I think I'd go Waddle.
It's not Van Jefferson.
Could be. You don't know that.
Okay.
You don't know that.
All right.
That's
You're
why
right.
that's why I'm giving both, because you just never, you don't know.
Okay. Got it.
Too many Jeffersons and Johnsons and.
I like Van Jefferson, but not a wide receiver one. These guys are, that guy's a wide receiver one. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Pick
got to be
three.
Justin.
Maybe I can flex one and bench James Conner. Pick three from.
I was getting there, Tony, Mr. Impatient.
Sorry.
Flex one, bench Conner. What is this referring to?
Did you talk about the other question? Pick two to start full PPR: Pittman, Waddle, Renfro, Lockett, Godwin, Deonte Johnson. Pick three.
So pick three, and he can flex one over Conner. So I had Godwin and Johnson. You had Johnson and Renfro.
If Waller is out.
So go Johnson, Godwin, and Renfro if Waller's out. If Waller's in, play Waddle. Boom. But if Conner plays, you got to play Conner.
Agreed. If Conner plays and Chase Edmonds is out.
Yeah.
If Chase Edmonds plays, I don't trust Conner.
True. All right, Hunter. Should I trade Patterson, Hunt, and Titans defense for Debo and Renfro? I don't think I'd move Patterson right now, even for that.
I'd like to see what your starting lineup looks like.
Oh, Smokey did verify that was Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, Jefferson and Deonte are obvious choices in that lineup question he had. But, I'm not trading Patterson right now for these guys.
For these guys? For Debo and Renfro?
Yeah, I'm not trading Patterson.
Okay.
I'm not trading Patterson. I mean, unless you just really need some depth, Patterson's the best player in that deal. Debo's not been getting – he's been running the ball some, not getting any catches. Ayuk is, I guess, the receiver there now over Debo. Renfro, if Waller comes back, loses value. I prefer Patterson.
Okay.
You obviously disagree.
I'm not ready to dismiss it just like that. I think, you say these guys as if,
I meant these guys as in those two guys he listed.
No, I know, but the way you said
that's like
it,
when you say you people and you just mean like you two people, not like you as a people.
it's just the way you said it makes it seem like he's getting back, Kenny Golladay and Cole Beasley. I'm not trading him for these guys. Has to give you pause. Debo and Renfro, basically for Patterson, because you're not going to use the Titans defense, at least not this week. I'm not using them against Pittsburgh, and I like Patterson a lot, but you're getting two starters in that deal.
Well, if you
I'd like to see.
If you need two starters, do it. But like you said, it depends on the rest of his roster.
Hunt might not see the field again this year, so he's giving the trade is essentially.
I don't give a crap about Hunt and the Titans. I'm just saying I prefer Patterson over Debo or Renfro. Unless you need depth at receiver, I'm not trading Patterson.
I don't view that as a depth play. These are two starters. You're not adding.
And neither are on the same level as Patterson's still the best player in the deal, though.
I don't disagree with that.
So it just depends on your team need.
That's what I said. I'd like to see what your starting lineup looks like.
Debo's just not doing it for me right now, though. You know what I mean?
But it's crazy we're talking trades this point in the season because most trade deadlines are over. That could be a perfect opportunity to buy this guy going into the fantasy playoffs.
Now, if it's Dynasty, that changes everything. Also, maybe if he's trading this late and it's Dynasty, yes, get Debo immediately. But I think for me right now in redraft, I'd rather have Patterson. We don't agree on everything. I admit.
So for me personally, I don't know what the deadline is for this trade. Hunter. But I think Debo goes back to his number one receiver role if Elijah Mitchell plays. If Elijah Mitchell is healthy and plays, Debo is not. They're not going to be running this guy out of the backfield the way they did this last week. And I like Debo and Renfro an awful lot. So I would definitely consider. It would be helpful to see the rest of your roster, but.
Let's see. Fraggy. Mont versus Minnesota, Cook versus Chicago, or Mixon versus Denver for his money league. Gotta go Cook. Cook, I mean, he's healthy, right? Nothing wrong with Cook that I'm aware of. So
I'm not benching.
I think Cook's an easy choice there.
Yeah, Cook's a top option.
Yeah.
That's an elite option for you, Fraggy.
Yeah. Sushi, if Lockett drops 40 this week, I'm drafting him with my first pick. Well, I'm going to get you in all my leagues.
Good luck with
you can draft Lockett in the first round, and something better can fall to me in the second.
Good luck with that.
Enjoy it this year, because next year will be rough, buddy, if that happens. Marco's Herbert or Rodgers this week?
I mean, I like Herbert an awful lot.
That's a close one for me. That's very close.
I don't think it is as close.
You don't think so?
Rodgers playing at home in December, Green Bay, weather against Cleveland.
Well, they're playing in Baltimore. Green Bay's playing Baltimore. At Baltimore.
I'm looking at week 16.
You accidentally clicked the wrong button, I think.
Yeah, you're right. You click week 16. Yeah. Okay. So they're playing at Baltimore. But let me give you kind of another thing that, he had a setback with that toe.
He also said in an interview it wasn't going to be an issue. So It hasn't been an issue. If he said
Justin Herbert just is playing out of his mind right now.
I've learned when Aaron Rodgers says something, you trust it. Like when he says relax, you trust it. If he says
let me take this approach. Justin Herbert is playing out of his mind right now. He's got Kansas City at home. This game could be the highest scoring game of the week. I probably make him a top 1 or 2 option at the quarterback position this week. I don't know if any quarterback I'm starting over Justin Herbert this week outside of maybe a Kyler Murray. I'm not trying to be down on Rodgers. It's more about how much I like Herbert.
I get that. And I'm just saying, like, for me, Herbert is also the choice. I'm just saying, I think it's pretty close to, I still do think Rodgers is going to be fine and have a good game. I agree that Herbert is the pick, though. I do.
This is a team that really wants to run the football now, Green Bay.
Seems that way. Let's see. I mean, they got Jones and Dillon both, running quite a bit now. So, let's see. Yeah, Mr. Sarcastic. Good to see my guy. Waddle must start this week. Yes. Well, I mean, it depends on your options. Obviously, we picked some certain guys over him earlier, but they're, top 5 receivers we were picking over him. I do like Waddle in this match. He had a good game when they played the Jets, didn't he? So,
Mr. Sarcastic, Jalen Waddle, I think, is a top 12 receiver this week and arguably rest of the season. So I like Waddle an awful lot myself.
We could say he had a good game against the Jets last time they played, so there ain't no reason to expect he wouldn't this time as well.
Absolutely. The guys we're talking about playing over Waddle are
they can't run the ball.
Deonte Johnson and Chris Godwin. I mean, those are the receivers we're talking about playing over Waddle. But Waddle is still kind of a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2.
Totally agree. Like you say, they can't run the ball, so
Waddle's
their guy. Waddle's their whole offense.
But yes, must start.
Mr. Sarcastic, weather not looking good. Cleveland Raiders game, and Carr isn't a cold weather guy, so not locked on Renfro.
Yeah.
That's fair, but I think without Waller, he's still going to be a nice little play. It's not like he's just a true, deep threat, one-trick pony type receiver. So even with cold weather, I think he'll be fine.
So here's the thing with Renfro is Renfro, out of that receiving core, he's almost 100% routes run, meaning that every time Carr drops back, Renfro is very close to running routes 100% of the time. He has a 33% target share in that offense. That is an elite target share. His air yards are also at 33%. So you're going to be very, very hard pressed to find another receiver who gives you the upside with that type of volume. And let me just kind of throw at you his last 3 games. Eight catches, 9 yards, 25 fantasy points, 134 yards, 25 fantasy points. Week 13, 9 for 10, 102 yards, 23 fantasy points. And then last week, 13 catches, 117 yards, 1 touchdown, 32. So this guy, the last 3 weeks, has gone over 100 yards. He has a touchdown last week. His lowest point outage has been 23 points. I mean, I don't know who you're starting over Hunter Renfro, but with that type of usage, that type of efficiency, and that type of production, I'm starting this guy.
It's Raider fan bias. Sarcastic. That's all it is.
I'm bringing facts.
I'm playing.
I'm bringing facts.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why I even give him the edge in a guy like Godwin, because as much as I absolutely love Godwin, and Godwin has also been a target monster in that offense, but you've got Fournette, you've got Gronk, you've got Mike Evans, you have options there. And so in Vegas, who else are they throwing the ball to? It's the Renfro show.
Until Waller comes back.
Until Waller comes back, yes. Then all bets are off. Not that Renfro is going away, but I don't know that you can trust him as this kind of like a Waddle, a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I'm definitely not shying away from Renfro because it's cold. Hunter, who's best?
By the way, real quick, because I'm although you call me a Raiders homie, Carr was my bust of the week at the quarterback position, and he turned out to be a bust. Historically, he plays horribly at Arrowhead. Who was it that said they were predicting Carr to have a big game? Was that Jay Gordon?
Maybe. I don't remember.
We'll find out when we do our boom and bust.
Might have been Gorman, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Hunter, who's the best flex option? Osborne, Freeman, or Penny?
Who do you like there?
I forgot who. Oh, Baltimore plays Green Bay.
Penny scares the daylights out of me.
Dude, he's last on the list for me. It's either KJ or Freeman.
Is Thielen absolutely out this week?
I'm pretty certain. I'm not 100%. I'm like 75%.
I haven't seen anything about him playing. Yeah, I like KJ.
It's a high ankle sprain. He's missed 2 weeks already. I expect probably 1 or 2 more he'll move.
So here's my issue with KJ is that I'm just giving you his last 2 weeks because these have been his 2 best weeks of the season. Well, 2 of his better weeks, I should say, because he did have a couple of good games in the beginning of the season. Week 13, 4 catches, 47 yards and a touchdown. 3 catches, 83 yards and a touchdown. So, again, not fair to pull that touchdown away, but if you remove the touchdown, he has a pretty low floor. 4 catches for 47 yards, 8 points. This week he would have had 11. Just because the touchdowns, you can't necessarily depend on them. You're trying to get somebody who gives you a high floor, who's a safe play and gives you upside. And I think that guy is Devonta Freeman.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like Freeman. Osborne's, like you say, maybe higher ceiling, but definitely a lower floor.
And I like Freeman even more if Lamar misses,
Yeah,
And
true.
even if Lamar plays with that ankle, I don't know that he's going to be run as effectively. So I lean Devonte Freeman in that matchup.
Yep, I agree. Sushi Lover wants to know Jacobs or Mitchell?
What's the deal with Jacobs?
What do you mean?
I mean, not Jacobs. What's the deal with Mitchell? What did I say? What's the deal with Jacobs?
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? What's the deal with Jacobs? No, I don't know about Mitchell as far as how he's going in that concussion protocol. I assume everything's still on track, but I haven't seen an update on him yet. So I assume he'll be back this week, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If
So
he's
that
back this week, I love Mitchell.
if that is if that is all that's keeping him out, and it looks like that is the case, is that he's still working his way back from that concussion, then it's a no-brainer. I mean, you got to get Mitchell in your lineup. I think he's also dealing with some type of a knee issue. I don't think it's
That's some about irritating his knee thing, but yeah, I don't think it's that serious.
yeah. But if he's healthy, full practice, clears the protocol, doesn't have an issue with his knee against Atlanta, he's a must start.
Yeah. Let's see. Chosen Rose. Do you think? Oh, he asked us this on BoomBust earlier too. Same question. Did you copy and paste Chosen Rose? I'm teasing. Do you think Josh Allen and Eckler will play? Thinking of picking up Jimmy G or Big Ben? Would you start one of these guys over Allen? If Allen plays, I'm nervous he will bust. I'll let you answer because I answered earlier in the other show.
So do you think that what? So it looks like Eckler will play. He already logged a limited practice today. I don't see any reason to think that he is not going to play. I'm thinking of picking up Jimmy G and or Big Ben. Would you start one of these guys over Allen? If Allen plays, I'm nervous he will bust. Why are we nervous that Allen's going to bust?
I don't know. They're playing Carolina. I don't think we got to worry about him at all. I don't think his toe is an issue. I think he'll be
Yeah.
fine. So
Yeah, he was in, I know he was in a walking boot coming out of that game. So here's my only issue with Allen, and I'm very, very nervous of saying that he's going to be a bust. I don't want to call him that. Say that that's the case, but a large component of his game is his ability to rush the football, and he ran for over 100 yards against that Tampa Bay defense. That really kind of pads his numbers. So what I would probably do is I would pick up Jimmy G. I would just grab that guy, get him on your roster, and just see how Allen progresses through the week. If Allen is not 100% or close, and I don't think he's going to be 100%, but close to 100%, does not log full practice, you read anything that raises red flags, then I would probably start Jimmy G, especially at home against Atlanta.
it's something else I added earlier when I answered it was you want Jimmy G anyways because Allen plays New England next week and Jimmy plays against Tennessee.
Yeah, I would definitely grab Jimmy G. He's the guy you want, not Big Ben.
Yeah, don't leave Big
Grab
Ben.
Jimmy G, get him on your roster, and I would probably lean towards playing him over Allen unless I'm convinced that Allen's going into this game healthy, and I don't have anything to worry about. These are the types of things that are really difficult to do in your playoffs, and we just talked about this at the beginning of our stream.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid to it's a whole new season now, so you can't be afraid to make decisions. The safest guy who gives you a high ceiling that gives you the best chance to win on Sunday.
I didn't see this. I guess they changed it from turf toe to sprained foot. I didn't see that. If that's the case, yeah, that is a little bit worse of an injury than they thought. But they don't seem concerned about him starting. So, yeah, just keep an eye on it. Everything still applies that Tony said. Just keep an eye on it and see.
I want to give you a quick example too. This last week, I had Taysom Hill off of waivers, and the wisest part of me said to play him, but I chose to ride my stud, and it was to make it into the playoffs, and I wound up playing Dak Prescott over Taysom Hill.
Oof.
Lost me that game, lost by
Yeah.
6 points, and so I should have played Taysom. That was the smart play. That was the right play, but I rode a Dak Prescott who, has been struggling the past 3 or 4 weeks, and I should not have done that. So you can't be afraid to do that. You got to give yourself the best chance to win. I wouldn't shy away from starting Jimmy G in that matchup, and Jimmy G has been surprisingly good this year.
Sometimes it's really hard, even though we can say it out loud, to get over that start your studs mental block. It
Yeah.
can be very hard to do that. And also, Chosen Rose did not copy and paste. He actually retyped it all.
Thanks, Chosen Rose.
Is Eno Benjamin a solid pickup? I don't think so. Like, even if Connor and is hurt, and then Edmonds doesn't get reactivated, like, I don't know how efficient he's going to be as a runner. Like, I don't think I'd worry about him.
I mean, he does have a nice matchup, but you got to be careful that you don't, fantasy is 2 parts. It's opportunity and it's talent. Some guys have enough talent to overcome their opportunity, and some guys with lesser talent, are able to thrive when they're given the tremendous opportunity. And so, would probably have a tremendous opportunity against Detroit, but I don't know if the talent is there. I definitely would not trust him in a playoff game.
Yeah.
So
Totally agree.
I don't know that he's a solid pickup. I don't know that he isn't a solid pickup. I just think there are too many question marks for me to grab him and to put him into my lineup.
Yep, same. I guess that means Nick Folk, not Foles, or Greg Zuerlein. Nick Foles, I mean, he did win a Super Bowl. I'll say that. But,
I think Zuerlein's a top 3 kicker.
I like Zuerlein. Foles has had a really good year, though. I know on the last show I picked Foles. I'm going to stick with it.
Zuerlein's having a pretty good season, too.
He changed this one up just a little bit. I think he had somebody else in there besides Green earlier. But Gage, Judy, MPS, Lazard, or Green? Got to be Gage, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think Gage for me is the guy.
Yeah. Do you guys think with Henderson back, it's a split backfield in LA? I do. I do think it will be.
I think it might be a split. I don't know that it's going to be a 50-50 split.
No, I don't think it'll be a 50-50. But they will try to keep Henderson healthier for the rest of the season by giving Sonny Michel some touches, though.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be difficult to trust him not knowing exactly what that split looks like unless you see anything coming out where they're expecting to give him a full workload.
Let's see. So back to the Jacobs Mitchell question from Sushi. He says, for some reason, he thinks Jacobs is going to pull a nice 150 total yards in TD, but he's definitely starting Elijah. That would be something, considering he hadn't done that all year, if Jacobs did it this week. So definitely don't trust him over Elijah, though.
Yeah, his largest rushing total on the season is 87 yards versus Dallas.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's only broken 70 once. It's typically in that 40 to 50 range. Now he has been involved somewhat in that receiving game, which does kind of give him a little bit higher floor. But Cleveland's defense is very stiff against the run, and without, I keep talking about Waller mostly as it applies or pertains to Renfro, but losing Waller in that roster, in that lineup, really hurts that offense. And so you can see them load more in the box because they're not bracketing Waller, trying to take him out of that passing game. I do not like Jacobs at all, and I like him even less if Waller does not play.
Agreed. Burrows fan. Hey, welcome in, man. Pick 3 for running backs. He has 2 flex spots. Cook, Montgomery, Patterson, Fournette. Also have Kittle and Gronk.
They get these lineups.
No, wait a minute. All right. You change names because I know we got this question earlier in the other show, too, I think. Maybe not. Starting Debo and Johnson with Renfro on my bench. Dude, is this a 6-team league? I feel like it's a 6-team league. Maybe 4. 3 for running backs.
So, yeah, I'm going Cook, Patterson, Fournette.
Same.
That
Kittle
was
and
his
Gronk.
question.
You got to start Kittle. Wide receiver start Samuel and Johnson with Renfro on his bench. So then, if you're starting Cook, Patterson, Fournette, I guess the 2 flex spots comes down between Gronk and Renfro.
And Kittle.
That
So
covers everybody. That covers
you're
everybody.
starting Kittle.
Kittle.
You're starting Kittle. You're putting Gronk into a flex, and you're putting Renfro into a flex.
So literally, you're starting everybody you just listed.
Almost. He wouldn't be starting Montgomery.
Oh, he wasn't asking. He was just telling us what his lineup is. I got it. 14-team dynasty. There is no shot you got that lineup in a 14-team league of any kind. You're playing with 4-year-olds, my dude. 14-team dynasty, and that's your lineup. You don't have any rookie picks for the next decade, do you? That's the only way that happens. You trade them all for this. Woo. Metcalf or Elijah?
If Elijah plays, Elijah. I want the guaranteed touches.
Does it mean Elijah Mitchell? Yeah, Moore's on IR, so yeah, it does mean Mitchell. Yep, yeah, it's got to be Mitchell then. He says made some trades, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You traded every rookie pick for the next 10 years. Oh, you're playing with not smart people. No offense. All right, man. That's the last of our questions. We got through them. We've been going for an hour and 15-ish. I say we call it a night. We'll be back on tomorrow night with our matchups, people. So if you have more questions, we'll be back. But we need to cut this off for tonight. Appreciate everybody being here, chatting with us, asking your questions. Hell of a lot of fun when we get this many people in here chatting and asking questions, man. I enjoy it. So, Tony, thank you for being here, my guy. Good job.
Appreciate it. You too.
And we'll see everybody tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.